Some of the quietest people in the room, dare some, are thinking the loudest. They notice things nobody else notices. The shift in someone's tone, the fake smile, the awkward silence after a joke, the feeling that something is wrong, even when nobody says it. And that's what makes silent people so strange to others. Because in a world where everyone is trying to be seen, they're busy watching. Most people think silence means weakness, or insecurity, or awkwardness. But psychology tells a very different story. Sometimes silence is not empty at all. Sometimes it's overloaded. We live in a world that rewards loudness. The loudest person gets attention. The fastest speaker sounds confident. The most outgoing person is seen as normal. And because of that, quiet people are often misunderstood. People assume they're shy, cold, boring, antisocial, maybe even rude. You've probably seen it happen before. A quiet person walks into a room, and everyone immediately creates a story about them. They must be nervous. They probably don't like us. They have no personality. But what's strange is most silent people are not silent because they have nothing to say. They're silent because their mind is already full. And this is where it gets interesting. Psychologists have found that quieter people often spend more time observing than reacting. While other people are speaking, they're analyzing. They notice patterns, behavior, energy. That's why silent people sometimes seem emotionally intelligent without even trying. They can tell when someone is lying. They notice when a friendship feels fake. They feel tension before anyone else does because they spend less energy trying to impress people and more energy trying to understand them. Think about it. Some people talk to escape silence, but quiet people are comfortable sitting inside it. And most people never notice this. The quieter someone is, the more likely they are to have a rich internal world. Constant thoughts, memories, conversations in their head, deep emotional processing. A lot of silent people replay situations over and over. What do they mean by that? Why did that moment feel strange? Did I say the wrong thing? They don't just experience life, they analyze it. And sometimes that becomes exhausting because overthinking creates hesitation. Before speaking, they think about every possible outcome. How will this sound? What if I get misunderstood? What if this changes the mood? So instead of speaking impulsively, they stay quiet. Not because they're weak, because their brain never stops running. Here's the strange part. Some people become silent after being hurt. Not born quiet, made quiet. Maybe they grew up around people who ignored their feelings, or mocked their opinions, or only listened when they agreed. So eventually, they stopped explaining themselves. Psychology calls this emotional protection. When someone feels emotionally unsafe long enough, their brain learns silence as survival. And honestly, a lot of quiet people didn't choose silence consciously. Life trained them into it. After enough disappointment, people stop opening up so easily. That's why some silent people seem distant at first. Not because they hate connection, because trust became difficult. And once you understand that, their behavior suddenly makes sense. Because the truth is, quiet people often feel deeply, too deeply. They absorb emotions like a sponge. One negative interaction can stay in their mind all day. One fake friendship can change how they see people for years. And since they process emotions internally, others rarely see the damage. That's why silent people sometimes look calm on the outside, while chaos is happening inside their head. But most people never notice this. They assume silence means peace. Sometimes it means emotional overload. And this connects to something even deeper. Quiet people usually crave meaningful conversations. Not small talk, not fake energy, not constant noise. They want conversations that actually mean something. The kind where someone says, "This is what I'm really feeling." That's why many silent people struggle in modern social environments. Because so much communication today feels performative. Everyone talks. Few people say anything real. And quiet people can feel that immediately. They'd rather stay silent than force fake interaction. Now, obviously, not every quiet person is the same. Some are naturally introverted. Some are socially anxious. Some are emotionally exhausted. But there's one thing many silent people share. They spend a lot of time feeling misunderstood. People see their silence, but not the reason behind it. And honestly, that can become lonely, because humans judge confidence by volume. If you speak loudly, you're seen as strong. If you stay quiet, people assume something is wrong. But silence and weakness are not the same thing. Some of the strongest people you'll ever meet speak very little, because they learned that not every thought needs to become noise. And this is where the emotional side of silence begins. Not all quiet people are peaceful. Some are tired of explaining themselves, tired of fake conversations, tired of being disappointed by people. Some became silent after heartbreak, after betrayal, after feeling invisible for too long, because life has a strange way of changing people. Sometimes the most talkative person in a room becomes the quietest after enough pain. And that's hard for people to understand, because silence doesn't always look like suffering. Sometimes it just looks like personality. But deep down, some quiet people are carrying entire emotional wars nobody can see. Some people become quiet because life taught them that speaking doesn't always change anything. And maybe that's why silent people often understand emotions better than others. They know what it feels like to hold everything inside. So they become better listeners, better observers, better at noticing pain in other people, because they recognize the same pain in themselves. And maybe that's the strangest thing about silent people. The world thinks they're disconnected, when in reality, they often feel everything too much. So the next time someone seems quiet, don't assume they're empty. Don't assume they're weak, or awkward, or cold. You never know what's happening inside a person who says very little. Sometimes silence hides intelligence. Sometimes it hides sadness. Sometimes it hides healing. And sometimes it hides 1,000 thoughts that nobody ever asked to hear. Not everyone who stays silent has nothing to say. Sometimes they simply learned that not everyone listens. If this video made you think differently about quiet people, subscribe for more psychology and human behavior videos. Because understanding people starts by noticing the things they never say out loud.